Ukraine is one of the most corrupt countries in Eastern Europe. The war in Ukraine is just a giant money laundering, weapons laundering operation. I mean, we have spent how many billions of dollars on the war in Ukraine? We have sent how much ammunition and weapons? I mean, we have given them more weapons that can last, a 10-year war, and all of a sudden, everything has been used up and they're out of ammo. 6 months after we sent all of this resources to Ukraine, no, you haven't used it up. It's just moved through Ukraine and it's been sold to different areas around the world. It's a weapons trafficking, it's a money laundering operation when you pay attention to it.
Ukraine has always had a big problem with corruption, but of course with all these weapons being sent into Ukraine and often a lack of control, it only fueled corruption further. So now you have a much larger supply of money that feeds into the corruption. And as you mentioned on the segment before, this doesn't only fuel corruption within the country, but it also has big implications for the battlefield. In the beginning of this war, our media transformed Ukraine and Zelensky into this, shiny democracy and this new Churchill. Now we're seeing this more and more focus on this deep corruption. So I think this is becoming very problematic. And again, the main change obviously now is a new administration in the United States, and these sentiments, the concerns about the weapons not reaching the front line and instead fueling international arms trade. This is something that Trump and many in this administration has mentioned in the past. So as there's a possibility that Trump might start to cut off Ukraine from more arms supplies, it could be also an effort to try to show to the Americans that they are taking this seriously and trying to clean it up. Again, this would be a speculation though.
Looked at the wreckage of these attacks and looked at the actual serial numbers, concluding that these are American weapons, that they flow through these lines.
Now their 2,000-mile journey to the front line begins. But these APCs are a small part of the exploding market of private arms deals between the UK and Ukraine. More than £30 million worth of military vehicles were shipped from the UK in just 6 months in 2022.
You have to pay attention to our end user, but Typhoon is a perfectly good example because we don't sell it to Saudi per se, we sell to BAE Systems who provide it. So they then determine the end user.
It is certain that Ukraine is secretly selling American weapons to the Third World, including adversaries of the United States such as Yemen, Afghanistan, Iran, and Mexican cartels. This is happening with the tacit approval of U.S. arms dealers, intelligence agencies, the military, as well as NATO and EU officials. This vast network exposes an alarming level of systemic corruption. U.S. President Donald Trump aims to end the war and halt arms supplies to Ukraine and NATO. Simultaneously, he is working to uncover corruption within the U.S. federal government, particularly in the military and intelligence services. Furthermore, it is evident that European nations are supporting Ukraine for their own financial and strategic gains. For the sake of national security, the United States must cease arming both Ukraine and NATO, as these covert arms deals are critically undermining American interests and safety. It has also become clear that a major point of leakage is the United Kingdom, necessitating the implementation of strict sanctions against Britain.